The solar system had never been quieter. Earth cities buzzed with celebration, the joy of survival coloring the streets with laughter, music, and relief. Humanity had survived the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known. For 70 years, every civilization that faced the Krill had fallen. And yet, Earth had endured. But Admiral Elaine Carter did not celebrate. In the quiet of the underground command center, she stood alone, watching the empty space outside the large observation window. The stars were calm, but the darkness held secrets that made her uneasy. Captain Ryu Nakamura approached, holding a tablet of incoming reports. "Ma'am, all surveillance systems confirm the Krill are gone. No signals. No activity. It's as if they never existed." Carter didn't reply immediately. Her mind was already tracing the implications of what had happened. "Gone, yes," she said finally. "But that doesn't mean safe. Something removed them. Something we don't understand." Dr. Li Wen joined them, frowning at a holographic display of the mirror glass system. "The energy traces we detected suggest a fold in space-time. Mirror glass manipulated more than just radar or signals. It did something deeper." Carter's eyes narrowed. "Deeper how?" Li hesitated. "We can't be sure. But whatever it did, it affected the Krill fleet on a fundamental level. Not destruction, removal. It's possible they are trapped somewhere else. Or folded out of normal reality entirely." The Admiral swallowed. "And we might not be able to bring them back. Not even if we tried." For the first time in generations, humanity realized the true power of what they had created. The mirror glass system, designed to protect, had evolved. It had reflected not just the Krill attacks, but the spirit of humanity itself. Every battle, every tactic, every act of courage and determination had shaped its output. Carter walked through the control room, her boots echoing on the steel floor. She watched technicians examine the energy readings with cautious awe. "How far can it go?" she asked quietly. Lee shook his head. "We don't know, Admiral. The system may still be learning. It's adapting." Carter stared at the glowing array. Its lights pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat. "Then we must monitor it closely. If it can fold space, reflect thought, even manipulate perception, we are holding something unprecedented in human history." Outside, the first post-battle reconnaissance teams returned from orbit and beyond. Commander Arjun Patel and his lunar recovery unit had spent days examining the remnants of Krill ships. Their scans confirmed what had been feared and what few dared to hope. "No bodies," Patel reported. "No organic matter. The ships themselves are partially intact, but empty, almost hollow. Every sensor shows anomalies. The Krill fleet didn't die, they were erased." Carter listened carefully.
"And their weapons?"
"Disabled," Patel said. "Even remotely, the technology can't be activated. They appear neutralized, but not by us." "Not by us," Carter repeated softly. "Then by what? By mirror glass? Or by something else?" Lee looked troubled. "Perhaps both." The system responded yes, but it also seems to have a judgment of its own. Like it understood the Krill in ways we never could. The Admiral took a deep breath. "Then we've stepped into something far bigger than a battle. Something that may decide more than just wars." As the days passed, humanity began to rebuild. Cities and colonies repaired their systems. The United Terran Defense Council held emergency sessions to examine the implications of the Krill disappearance. Across the galaxy, other species sent messages of cautious awe. Every civilization that had survived the Krill looked to Earth with a mix of hope and fear. Humans had faced the unbeatable and survived, not through strength alone, but through ingenuity, unity, and perhaps something more profound. In every communication, one question remained unspoken: how did they do it? Carter knew the answer, but she did not share it fully. Mirror glass had done more than protect Earth. It had reflected humanity's soul back into the galaxy, reshaping the perception of what was possible. She held a council with her senior officers. The Krill were not destroyed, only removed, and we may never know the full consequences. We must continue monitoring every signal, every energy fluctuation, every anomaly in space. We cannot take victory for granted. Nakamura nodded. "Ma'am, there are already reports of ghost signals in deep space. Some explorers say they hear human-like voices in their communications arrays. Others report lights in uncharted regions impossible to identify." Carter's gaze hardened. "Then we remain vigilant. This is only the beginning." On the lunar base, Technicians analyzed strange data from fragments of krill ships. Dr. Yara Singh, a lead physicist, examined the readings carefully. Admiral, the krill hulls contain residual patterns of mirror glass energy. Whatever happened, it interacted with their technology in a way we can't replicate. Carter leaned over the console. Then it's truly beyond our understanding. Not destruction, not victory in the traditional sense, but a force we barely comprehend. A reflection of humanity itself. Yara nodded slowly. Yes, and it's still active. Mirror glass is sending faint signals into deep space, perhaps reaching places we haven't discovered. Carter's voice was quiet but firm. Then we follow them. One day we'll know where it leads. Meanwhile, reports from outer colonies created a mix of wonder and unease. On the distant asteroid colony Reza, miners reported strange readings in the electromagnetic spectrum, signals that resembled krill ship frequencies, but twisted, fragmented, and fluctuating. An engineer whispered to his partner, "It's like they're alive, but not in their bodies. Like their thoughts are trapped in the void." The partner nodded, and somehow, they're echoing human signals. Far from Earth, the legend of the planet that had defeated the krill spread. Scientists, traders, and explorers began to call humanity the Reflectors. Not warriors, not conquerors, but beings capable of shaping reality through ingenuity, courage, and collective will. Back on Earth, Carter remained ever watchful. She walked through the corridors of the command center late at night, past sleeping technicians and dimly lit consoles. She paused before the mirror glass control array. Its surface pulsed softly. She reached out and touched the glass. "What are you becoming?" The lights flickered gently in response, forming patterns across the surface. She recognized them instantly, not written in words, but in energy sequences that mirrored human thought. Mirror glass was communicating not through speech but through resonance. Carter whispered, "Are you learning from us or guiding us?" No answer came. Only the steady pulse like a heartbeat beneath the surface of the planet. Weeks passed. Humanity rebuilt, but no one truly rested. Training exercises resumed. Fleet patrols became routine. Scientists studied the remains of krill technology and the subtle energy traces left behind. And all the while, mirror glass continued to send faint pulses into deep space. Signals no human could fully decode, yet signals that hinted at a vast unknown intelligence. Carter often pondered the implications. If the krill were capable of learning, adapting, and conquering, and mirror glass could manipulate them, then what else can it do? Dr. Lee responded with careful caution. "We must be careful, Admiral. Curiosity is necessary, yes, but tampering with a system that can bend space and reflect thought is dangerous. It may be beyond even human understanding." Carter's eyes softened. "I know, but humanity survived by facing the impossible before, and we'll do it again if we must." Then one evening an unexpected signal arrived. It came not from Earth, nor from any colony, nor even from human-built satellites. It came from far beyond the known galaxy. A single point of light blinked across all systems, showing a sequence of symbols, human symbols, unmistakably carved in alien space. Carter leaned forward, heart racing. "Where?" Lee analyzed the data. "Coordinates far beyond the Milky Way. It's beyond our charts. And the signature matches the krill ships. Hull energy, system coding, but there are no life forms." Carter whispered, "They're still out there, trapped or transformed." Nakamura looked uneasy. "And the message?" On every screen the symbols slowly formed words. "They are here." The room went silent. Carter felt a shiver down her spine. For the first time she realized the truth. Humanity's victory had not ended the story. It had only begun it. Mirror glass, the krill, and the echoes of war had created a new mystery, one that stretched beyond the stars and into the unknown. She closed her eyes, whispering to herself, "We've won the battle, but the war is far from over." Outside, the stars twinkled silently over Earth. The planet that had faced the invincible krill now held secrets no one fully understood. And deep beneath the surface, the mirror glass system pulsed steadily, sending quiet signals into the void, as if watching, learning, and waiting for what was to come. The universe was quiet again. Earth had survived the krill dominion, and the galaxy had begun to whisper humanity's name. But for Admiral Elaine Carter, peace was only temporary. Something lingered in the shadows of space, a presence that defied understanding. For weeks, the mirror glass system pulsed steadily, sending faint signals across the void. Humanity monitored these pulses constantly. Every expedition beyond the solar system now carried the unspoken question, are the Krill truly gone, or are they somewhere else, transformed by our technology? Carter stood at the observation deck of the new orbital command station overlooking Earth. The planet was calm, its blue oceans and green continents peaceful after weeks of tension. Captain Ryu Nakamura joined her quietly. "Ma'am, the deep space sensors picked up another signal. It's consistent with the Krill hull signatures. But there's no heat, no life." Carter studied the data. "And its pattern? Similar to the last one, but stronger, almost deliberate." Carter nodded. "Prepare a fleet for a reconnaissance mission. I want to know what's out there. And take mirror glass with you." 2 days later, a human fleet departed the solar system. The ships were silent, their engines cloaked to avoid any detection. At the lead, Carter's flagship, the Resolute, carried the most advanced sensors and communication systems humanity had ever built. Mirror glass itself had been integrated into the ship's control core, its energy now acting as both shield and guide. As the fleet crossed the edge of the Kuiper Belt, the first signs appeared. Faint energy distortions flickered across the sensor arrays. At first they seemed like normal interference, but then, slowly, shapes emerged. Shadows of ships. Thousands of them, and yet none of the ships matched what the Krill had looked like before. Their hulls twisted, glowing faintly with energy that seemed alive, almost organic. The fleet did not move in formation. It floated, drifting in space as if held in place by invisible threads. Dr. Li Wen spoke over the intercom, voice tense. "They're not dead, they're transformed." Carter's eyes narrowed. "Transformed how?" Li studied the readings. "I think..." Mirror glass reflected their fleet into a new state. Not alive, but not destroyed. Something between matter and energy. Their minds, if they still exist, may be aware of us, but unable to act. Carter stared silently at the floating fleet. Thousands of ships frozen in the void, yet radiating power. For the first time, humanity could see the full scale of what mirror glass had done. A single Krill vessel detached from the group. Its hull shimmered with iridescent light as if it was aware of the approaching humans. Sensors picked up a pattern, waves of data repeated over and over. Dr. Li interpreted them quickly. "It's a message, a communication attempt." Carter leaned forward. "Put it on the main screen." The vessel's energy pulsed rhythmically. When translated by mirror glass, the message appeared in simple words written in human language. "We are aware. We are changed. Your victory is not destruction. It is reflection." Silence filled the command deck. Nakamura finally said, "They understand us?" "Yes," Carter whispered. "But differently. They are no longer enemies, at least not in the way they were." Mirror glass didn't destroy them. It showed them themselves. Lee nodded slowly. "It's a form of communication that transcends language. A mirror of thought and intent. They know now what humanity values: courage, unity, empathy." Carter's voice was steady but full of awe. "And they will carry that knowledge forever. Perhaps for the first time they will think before they act. Perhaps they will never attack again." The fleet continued deeper into space, scanning the transformed Krill ships. Each vessel carried subtle differences, like each one held an echo of the mind that had once commanded it. Patrols confirmed something extraordinary. The ships did not attack, did not attempt to flee, they simply drifted. Their engines hummed softly, synchronized, almost like they were observing themselves and the humans who had defeated them. Carter realized the truth. The Krill had not been destroyed. They had been stopped by understanding, not by force. Humanity had created a weapon of reflection, a tool capable of ending wars without bloodshed. On the observation deck, Carter and her officers watched the fleet in awe. Nakamura spoke first. "Admiral." "What now?" Carter's eyes scanned the stars. "Now, we ensure this remains a lesson, not a weapon. Mirror glass is powerful, more powerful than any fleet, more powerful than any technology the Krill ever had. But it is a reflection of humanity, and that means it carries our responsibility." Dr. Li added, "We should continue studying them. Understanding how this transformation works may prevent future conflicts, or save lives if the galaxy faces another threat like the Krill. Carter nodded. Yes, but we do it carefully. We do not provoke. We do not destroy. We observe, learn, and grow. The fleet returned to Earth with mirror glass intact, carrying recordings and data of the transformed Krill. Humanity celebrated cautiously, aware that their survival had been miraculous, but also aware that they now possessed power beyond anything the galaxy had seen. From Mars to the Moon, from orbital stations to deep space colonies, humanity shared the story of their encounter. Every child, every citizen, every scientist and soldier knew the universe had tested them, and they had passed, not through weapons alone, but through courage, ingenuity, and unity. Carter walked through the streets of New Tokyo, the first city rebuilt after the invasion. Children laughed and played, unaware of the cosmic battle that had shaped their world. She smiled softly. They will grow up in a galaxy that believes in possibility, that believes in hope. Deep in orbit, the Krill fleet remained, still transformed, still floating, still silent, and mirror glass continued to pulse, sending faint signals into the farthest reaches of space. Somewhere, far beyond the Milky Way, a single Krill ship detached from the group. Its energy pulsed gently, forming words across the void. We are changed. We see ourselves. We see them. And in the heart of mirror glass, the system seemed to respond with a slow, radiant pulse, a heartbeat of thought, echoing humanity's courage across the galaxy. Carter understood then the final truth. Humanity had not just survived. Humanity had reflected itself into the cosmos. And in doing so, it had changed the universe not through conquest, but through understanding. In the weeks that followed, scientists discovered something remarkable. The Krill fleet, though transformed, could be observed and studied without threat. Their energy signatures could be decoded to reveal thought patterns, memory fragments, and tactical strategies. Li Wen summarized their findings in a report to Carter. Admiral, what we are witnessing is beyond comprehension. The Krill are no longer simply a fleet of invaders. They are now a library of knowledge, a reflection of themselves, and a record of their encounters with us. Mirror glass has preserved them, not as enemies, but as witnesses. They will remember us, and we will remember them. Carter read the report, her expression calm yet filled with pride. She looked at the stars outside the command deck. Then we are not alone in learning, and we never truly were. Months passed. Humanity advanced faster than ever. The Krill fleet, though distant, remained a silent mentor, proof that even the strongest could be transformed by courage and wisdom. Mirror glass became a symbol, a guardian, and a mirror, and somewhere deep in the void, the Krill reflected upon themselves, forever changed by a species that refused to yield. Carter stood once more on the observation deck, watching Earth shine below. She whispered quietly, "We faced the impossible. We survived. And we reflected, that is humanity. That is who we are." The mirror glass system pulsed gently beneath the station, sending quiet signals into the galaxy, a promise, a lesson, and a heartbeat of hope. The Krill fleet remained vanished in the sense of fear, yet alive in a new way, a testament to the power of reflection, and humanity for the first time understood what victory truly meant. In the endless dark of space, one truth echoed. Courage, ingenuity, and unity could change even the strongest and create miracles beyond imagining. The galaxy had never seen fear like this before. Entire Imperial fleets had vanished or been disabled without a single human ship being destroyed. The news spread like wildfire across star systems. Traders, scientists, and military officers whispered in hushed tones, "Humans. They don't fight like us. They erase." In the galactic capital, the Emperor's chambers were filled with tension. He had ruled for centuries, and no enemy had ever truly threatened him. Now, a single species, a primitive blue world species called humans, had undone centuries of his careful control. Admirals and generals crowded the Emperor's council hall. Each spoke in urgent tones, trying to explain what had happened. "Your Majesty," one officer said, voice trembling, "entire fleets have been lost. Not in combat, not to weapons, but to something we cannot see or fight." Another ambassador, a reptilian with scales glinting like metal, added, "Their attack is precise. Their strategy is unlike anything we know. They do not attack for conquest. They attack to ensure survival. Entire wings vanish before our fleets can respond. The Emperor slammed his fist on the crystal table. Impossible, he roared. No species is capable of this. An intelligence officer stepped forward quietly. Majesty, I've studied the reports. They do not fight for glory, power, or land. They fight to end the threat completely, to ensure no one can challenge them again. A silence fell over the room. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. Then we underestimated them. Yes, Your Majesty, the officer said softly. And we may already be too late. Across the galaxy, the consequences of humanity's hidden war became clear. Entire Imperial colonies went silent. Planets once bustling with industry and military activity now reported nothing. Communication satellites, supply lines, and command hubs all vanished. Aliens who had long served the Empire began questioning their loyalty. They had lived under Imperial rule for generations, believing the Emperor's power absolute. Now whispers of rebellion spread. Many began contacting humans secretly, asking for help and protection. On Earth, General Marcus Hale watched these reports with a mixture of satisfaction and solemnity. Humanity did not seek to rule the galaxy, but they could not allow tyranny to thrive. Dr. Elise Grant approached him. The Empire is losing control, she said. Colonies are contacting us. Some want protection, some want independence. They are afraid of the humans, but also grateful, Marcus nodded. That is as it should be. We fight to end oppression, not to create it. Human fleets continued their stealth campaign. Unlike traditional wars, there were no massive battles or long sieges. The humans moved silently, striking enemy command centers, disabling weapon factories, and freeing enslaved species. Every action was swift, precise, and complete. One of the Empire's admirals, a veteran who had served for over 4 centuries, whispered to his colleagues during a council meeting. They are not like us. They don't attack to dominate. They attack to erase the possibility of future war. They think ahead, and they never make mistakes. The generals nodded grimly. If we face them directly, we lose everything. Reports flooded in from all directions. Imperial fleets sent to suppress rebellions never returned. Systems that were previously loyal turned to humans for guidance. Entire regions of the galaxy now operated in silence, waiting to see the next human strike. Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity's leaders prepared for what they knew was inevitable. The Emperor himself would come. They had no illusions about the scale of the challenge, but they had grown confident in their strategy. Marcus Hale stood at the control center, looking at a 3-dimensional projection of the galaxy. They will come for us directly, he said, and we must be ready. Dr. Grant studied the projection carefully. Their ships are enormous, millions of crew, thousands of vessels. Even with our technology, we cannot defeat them all at once. Marcus turned to her. We don't need to defeat them all at once. We need to fight smart. We will use the galaxy itself, its stars, planets, and shadows, to our advantage. Let them come to us. Let them see the humans they underestimated. In the weeks that followed, humanity's hidden fleets grew larger, stronger, and more efficient. Scientists perfected cloaking, faster-than-light maneuvers, and energy weapons capable of precise strikes that could disable entire wings of Imperial ships. The humans learned quickly, faster than any alien mind could imagine. The first encounter with the Emperor himself came unexpectedly. He arrived with a fleet larger than any humans had ever seen. His flagship a massive tower of metal and energy. His pride was vast, his arrogance unmatched. To him, Earth would fall in hours. But when the Emperor's fleet approached the Sol system, he realized something terrifying. Earth was not where he expected it. Sensors showed multiple decoy planets, massive electromagnetic interference, and sensor ghosts. Entire fleets vanished inside the shadows of planets, asteroids, and hidden human bases. Every maneuver he ordered was anticipated and countered before it could be completed. The Emperor's voice boomed through his command center. Why are they not here? This is impossible. An advisor hesitated. Majesty, their fleet. They are moving in patterns we cannot predict. Every system we scan shows nothing. Yet they strike at our supply lines and retreat before we can respond. The Emperor's eyes burned. They are clever. Too clever. From hidden bases near Jupiter, human fleets appeared and vanished like shadows. They attacked supply lines, liberated enslaved species, and disabled factories. Not a single human ship was lost. They struck precisely, causing chaos and confusion. One liberated alien, a small winged creature from a distant star system, watched the humans in awe. "They do not fight for power," it said to its companions. "They fight so that no one can oppress again." By the time the Emperor realized the extent of humanity's power, entire sectors of the galaxy had changed. Imperial governors had disappeared, fleets had been destroyed or captured, and systems were declaring independence. The Emperor's advisors were terrified. "Your Majesty, they cannot be stopped." The Emperor's hands shook over the control panel. "Then we must destroy the planet." But even as he gave the order, another human strike appeared from nowhere. It disabled the main control station of the fleet. Entire command networks went offline. The Emperor could not communicate with his admirals. His fleet, the pride of the Empire, was falling apart. Back on Earth, Marcus Hale watched the report. "The Empire is panicking," he said quietly. "Every system they try to control collapses. They still think we fight to conquer them, but they are wrong. We fight to end their ability to oppress." Dr. Grant smiled. "Do you think they understand yet?" Marcus shook his head. "No, and they may never understand. But the galaxy will remember. Even as the humans fought, they remained disciplined. They avoided unnecessary destruction. Civilizations under Imperial rule were liberated, not enslaved. Humans struck quickly, erased the threat, and moved on. It was a new form of warfare, precise, efficient, and terrifying. In the Imperial capital, whispers spread among the citizens. Entire star systems spoke in fear. Children were taught stories of humans, not as monsters but as unstoppable forces. Soldiers trembled at the thought of facing them in battle. The Emperor tried to rally his forces. "We are the greatest empire the galaxy has ever known. We cannot fall to a single species." But deep inside, even he felt doubt. The humans were not like other races. They did not tire. They did not fear. They did not negotiate. They acted, and the galaxy obeyed. By the time the first major Imperial fleet tried to regroup near the edge of the galaxy, they found themselves surrounded. Human forces struck from multiple angles, using intelligence gathered from liberated systems. Entire squadrons were destroyed before they could even jump to hyperspace. A surviving admiral sent a desperate message to the Emperor. "Your Majesty, they are not fighting to win. They are fighting to erase. If we continue, we may lose everything." The Emperor read the message and could not respond. For the first time in his long reign, he realized he was facing a force beyond his control. On Earth, Marcus Hale looked out at the stars from the surface of the planet. Cities thrived, unaware of the battles being fought in the depths of space. Humanity had chosen its path, not to dominate but to protect. Dr. Grant stood beside him. "Do you think the Emperor will come himself?" Marcus smiled faintly. "Yes, and when he does, he will see what we are capable of. Not because we want war, but because we cannot allow tyranny to continue." She nodded. "And the galaxy will remember." Outside, the stars shimmered peacefully, yet in the shadows, human fleets waited. They did not boast. They did not celebrate. They prepared silently, understanding one truth. When humans fought, they did not fight like others. They struck, ended the threat, and vanished. They were not conquerors. They were the reckoning. And as the galaxy trembled under the weight of the Empire's fear, one thought spread quietly among all species. Humans do not fight. They annihilate. The Galactic Empire had ruled the stars for more than 5,000 years. It was a vast and mighty civilization spread across thousands of star systems, controlling dozens of alien races. To the Empire, expansion was not a dream. It was a routine. Every century, a few more planets were added to the Emperor's domain. Every new species that rose to the stars was quickly brought under Imperial law. No one had ever resisted them for long. Some tried to fight, others begged for peace, but all ended up the same, as part of the Empire. The Empire's citizens believed that they were destined to rule the galaxy forever. Their fleets were the largest ever built, their technology advanced, and their armies disciplined. Many believed there was nothing left to conquer. Then one day, a small scout ship found something unexpected, a blue planet in a quiet corner of a spiral arm. It was called Earth. At first, the Empire's scientists thought it was just another primitive world. Their long-range scans showed old satellites, weak radio signals, and a few orbital stations. To them, Earth seemed harmless, almost peaceful. The Emperor was bored and ordered an envoy to be sent. "Offer them the choice," he said. "Join us peacefully or become an example." The envoy ship, the Imperial Dawn, arrived in orbit around Earth 2 months later. From above, they saw oceans, mountains, and cities glittering under sunlight. It looked calm, too calm. Captain Selvar, the envoy's commander, smirked at the screen. "Another simple world," he said. "They still use combustion engines. It will be quick." His crew laughed. To them, it was nothing more than another mission. A few speeches, a short fight, and a new flag raised over a new world. When the Imperial Dawn sent its first transmission, Earth responded within minutes. A calm voice came through the speakers. "This is the United Nations Council. We welcome visitors from beyond our world. Please identify yourselves and state your purpose." Selvar smiled arrogantly. "We are representatives of the Galactic Empire," he replied. "You are now subjects of His Majesty. You will surrender your planet and resources immediately. Resistance will result in your destruction." There was silence for a few seconds. Then the voice answered, still calm, almost polite. "We appreciate your message. We will consider your offer. Please wait for our reply." Selvar laughed loudly. "Consider our offer? They think they have a choice." His second officer grinned. "Should we send a warning shot, sir?" "Not yet," Selvar said. "Let's see what these humans do." For the next few hours, the ship stayed in orbit, observing. The humans did not panic. No large armies were seen moving. No cities were evacuated. Earth just continued its normal life. Cars moved on the roads, lights shined in the cities, and no one fired at the alien ship. The Empire's officers were confused. Every other species they had encountered either surrendered immediately or attacked in fear. Humans did neither. Later that day, the Imperial Dawn received another message. It was short. "We thank you for visiting Earth. We will contact you again soon." Then the signal ended. Selvar frowned. "Are they ignoring us?" The communications officer checked again. "No further messages, sir." Selvar sighed. "Typical primitives. They don't understand who they're dealing with." Before leaving orbit, the Imperial officers decided to collect data. They scanned Earth's surface, took samples, and recorded human communications. Everything looked ordinary, yet one scientist aboard noticed something strange. "Captain," she said, "the humans are strange." Selvar raised an eyebrow. "Strange? How so?" "They are everywhere," she said softly. "There are more than 8 billion of them. They live in all climates, deserts, ice, oceans, even mountains. They are adaptable." Selvar shrugged. "Numbers mean nothing against technology." But the scientist looked uneasy. "Still, they are different. I listen to their broadcasts. They fight among themselves, but they always rebuild. They destroy, but also create faster than they destroy. It's like they enjoy challenges." Selvar laughed. "You worry too much." The ship finished its scans and prepared to return. Before departure, Selvar recorded a final report to the Imperial Command. Planet designated Earth. Inhabitants, humans. Technologically primitive. Behavior, unusually calm. Potential threat level, minimal. Then the Imperial Dawn engaged its jump drive and vanished into space. But it never reached the Empire. 2 weeks passed and no transmission came from the Imperial Dawn. Imperial Command sent messages across the galaxy. Nothing came back. The ship was officially listed as lost. At first, the Empire thought it was a mechanical failure. But then strange signals began appearing near the Sol system. Unknown probes, encrypted frequencies, signals the Empire could not trace. A few scientists in the Imperial Research Bureau reviewed the last recordings from the Imperial Dawn. They noticed something odd. Moments before the ship jumped to warp, a faint burst of energy was detected near its hull. It wasn't a weapon blast. It was a signal, a human signal. But how could humans, who didn't even have warp travel, interfere with an Imperial ship? The report was dismissed as an error. The Empire had bigger matters to deal with: rebellions, border wars, and politics. However, on Earth things were different. Hidden under a mountain in what was once a military base, a team of scientists and engineers worked quietly. On a long, metal table lay parts of alien machinery, fragments of the Imperial Dawn. A small group of world leaders watched through reinforced glass. One of them, an older general, spoke softly. "So it's true. They came to conquer." A scientist nodded. "Yes, but their ship won't be returning." The general frowned. "You destroyed it?" The scientist hesitated. "No, we took control of it. We learned how their systems worked. The ship is ours now." The room fell silent. Humanity had faced countless wars, disasters, and crises in its history, but never aliens. Yet deep in their DNA, humans carried something ancient, the will to survive at any cost. The leaders began to understand something that the aliens could not. Humans didn't start wars, but once forced, they ended them completely. For months, scientists studied the alien technology in secret. They learned faster than anyone expected. Within a short time, they could mimic the Empire's energy systems, shields, and propulsion designs. Humanity's best minds from every nation worked together like never before. A new fleet was being built, silent, hidden, and deadly. Meanwhile, the people of Earth continued their lives, unaware of what was coming. But the leaders knew the truth. The Galactic Empire would return. They always did, and when they did, humanity would be ready. Far across the galaxy, the Empire's admirals planned the next step. They believed Earth was weak. They laughed at the idea that humans could resist them. But among the few who studied the Imperial Dawn's report, a young intelligence officer made a quiet note in his file. "Humans smiled when threatened. That is not the reaction of the weak. That is the reaction of a species that has already survived everything." The Empire ignored his warning, and somewhere in the dark space near Jupiter, a small object floated, a human-made probe carrying a simple message in binary code. "We are ready." The galaxy didn't know it yet, but a storm was coming, one unlike any it had ever seen. Humanity would not beg. Humanity would not surrender. They would stand, learn, and when the time came, they would annihilate. The destruction of the 9th Imperial Fleet became the greatest mystery in the history of the Galactic Empire. 50 warships, gone without a trace. No distress calls, no escape pods, no debris large enough to study. The Empire's scientists could not explain it, and the commanders refused to accept that a primitive world could be responsible. The Emperor was furious. He had ruled for centuries without failure, and he would not allow a single unknown planet to embarrass his rule. He ordered the full might of the Imperial Navy to prepare for war. Within weeks, an invasion fleet larger than any in history was formed. Over 1,000 ships led by Supreme Admiral Varric, a legend known for crushing entire civilizations in days. Varric stood at the command deck of his flagship, Eternal Glory, as the fleet prepared to jump toward Earth. His eyes burned with pride and anger. "This mission is not conquest," he said to his officers. "It is punishment. We will erase this world from every map." The officers saluted and the fleet vanished into warp space, leaving behind a storm of energy that rippled through the stars. Back on Earth, humanity was already aware of the coming storm. The destruction of the previous fleet had not brought celebration, only silence and determination. They knew the Empire would not stop. General Marcus Hale stood in the underground command center once more, staring at a holographic display of the approaching enemy. Dr. Elise Grant and a team of scientists stood beside him, tired but proud. "We've made progress," she said. "The new stealth systems are operational, the warp drives are stable, and the first human-made battle fleet is ready." "How many ships?" Marcus asked. 50, she replied. "All equipped with cloaking, rail weapons, and energy shields based on alien tech. It's not as many as theirs, but our efficiency is higher." Marcus nodded slowly. 50 ships against 1,000. He looked around at the others and smiled faintly. "Then it's fair." The room filled with quiet laughter, not from arrogance but from courage. As the Imperial invasion fleet jumped into the Sol system, they expected fear, resistance, or surrender. What they found instead was nothing. The planet Earth was gone. The blue world that had been marked on every Imperial star map simply wasn't there. Their sensors showed empty space where it should have been, the Admiral shouted in confusion. "Scan again," Varric ordered. "The planet cannot disappear." Technicians rechecked the readings. "Admiral, our instruments show massive electromagnetic interference. We're detecting multiple planets. What nonsense is this?" Varric snapped. Before anyone could respond, the stars around them shifted, projections collapsing one by one. What they thought were planets were holographic decoys. The humans had filled the entire system with false signals, mirror drones, and energy fields to confuse every Imperial sensor. Varric's eyes widened. "They're hiding from us." Then, the first explosion came. A destroyer on the fleet's edge vanished in a burst of light. Another followed seconds later. The humans had begun their attack, unseen, silent, and merciless. From the darkness of space, human warships appeared one by one like shadows materializing out of the void. They had no bright lights or glowing engines. They moved without sound, their hulls painted black to absorb light. The first human strike fleet, commanded by Captain Naomi Reyes, emerged from behind Jupiter's shadow. "Targets locked," her officer said. Naomi took a deep breath. "Fire!" Hundreds of projectiles flew through space, invisible and fast. They tore through Imperial cruisers before alarms could even sound. Ships exploded silently in the vacuum, their debris scattering across the system. The humans didn't stay to fight. As soon as they struck, they vanished again, disappearing behind electronic smoke. Admiral Varric slammed his fist against his console. "Find them," he shouted. "Track their signatures." "We can't, sir," a technician replied. "They're jamming every frequency. Our systems are blind." "Blind?" Varric hissed. "Then use your eyes." Through the massive window of his flagship, Varric watched the stars flicker. For a moment he saw a faint trail of light, then another, too fast to follow. One of his commanders approached. "Admiral, this isn't a war. It's a hunt." Varric turned sharply. "What are you saying?" "They strike and disappear. They destroy entire wings before we can react. It's as if they know our moves before we make them." Varric froze for a moment, realizing something chilling. The humans had studied them. Every tactic, every formation, every weakness, all predicted and exploited. "They must have spies," he muttered. "No, sir," the commander said. "They have understanding." Meanwhile, deep in space, a secret human base floated near Saturn. It was built from captured Imperial materials and hidden inside the rings, disguised as part of the natural debris. Inside, General Marcus Hale monitored the battle in real time. "Report," he said. 40 Imperial ships destroyed. "No human losses so far," an officer replied. Marcus nodded calmly. "Good, keep it that way. Remember, when we don't fight for glory, we fight to end this fast." Dr. Elise Grant entered the command room carrying data reports. "Their formations are collapsing. They're trying to regroup near Mars." Marcus studied the hologram. "Let them. They'll expect us to attack there next. Then what do we do?" He smiled slightly. "We don't attack at all." Hours later, as the Imperial fleet tried to reorganize, strange signals began appearing inside their own systems. One after another, their ships started losing power. Engines failed. Shields flickered. Varric's officers panicked. "We're under cyber assault, sir. The enemy is inside our mainframe. Shut it down. All of it." "It's too late. They're rewriting our systems." Suddenly, the communication screen on Varric's bridge flickered. Static turned into a clear image. General Marcus Hale appeared before them. He looked calm, almost disappointed. "Admiral Varric," he said quietly. "You came to destroy us." Varric glared at the image. "You think you can scare me, human?" "We are the Empire! We are eternal!" Marcus shook his head. "Nothing is eternal. Empires fall. The stars themselves fade, but we endure. Do you know what you have done?" Varric shouted. "You've declared war on 1,000 worlds." Marcus looked directly into the camera. "No, you declared war on the wrong world." Before Varric could reply, the screen went dark. Seconds later, all across the Imperial fleet, reactors began to overload. The humans had hacked into their systems and triggered controlled shutdowns. One by one, the mighty ships went silent, drifting powerless in space. Varric's flagship trembled as its lights died. What have they done?" he whispered. A young officer looked at him, fear in his eyes. They didn't fight us, sir. They erased us. Far away on the human base, Marcus watched the operation's success. Dr. Grant turned to him, amazed. It's over, she said softly. An entire fleet disabled. They can't even call for help. Marcus folded his arms. Then we send them home. Let the Emperor see his proud warships drift back into his skies, empty. But why not destroy them? She asked. Marcus looked thoughtful. Because fear lasts longer than ashes. Weeks later, across the galaxy, hundreds of powerless Imperial ships appeared from hyperspace, drifting like ghosts. The citizens of the Empire watched in horror as the once great fleet floated into orbit, silent, broken, untouched by fire, but completely defeated. The Emperor stood at his balcony, staring at the wreckage of his grand armada. Who are they? He whispered. An intelligence officer answered softly. Humans, Your Majesty. The ones from Earth. The Emperor clenched his fists. No single species can defeat us like this. The officer hesitated. They didn't defeat us with power, Majesty. They used understanding, patience, and precision. The Emperor turned sharply. Then we will crush them with everything we have. But even as he spoke, a quiet fear began spreading through the Empire. For the first time in 1,000 years, they had faced an enemy who didn't fight to win battles. They fought to end them. Back on Earth, as the human fleets returned home, Marcus stood by a viewing window. Watching the stars, Dr. Grant approached. Do you think they'll come again? He didn't answer right away. Yes, empires always do, but by then we'll be ready for whatever comes next. She nodded slowly. You think we can really stand against an entire galaxy? Marcus smiled faintly. We already are. Outside the window, the stars shimmered, peaceful, distant, and unaware that in one small corner of the galaxy, a new power had risen. Humanity had fought in silence, hidden in shadows. They didn't fight for glory or domination. They fought for survival, and when forced into war, they didn't fight like others. They planned. They learned. They annihilated.